Hi, it's Jellynauts, and today we're going to be reviewing
Heavy Rain.
for the PlayStation 3. So did you like the game?
Yes.
Was it one of your favorite games?
Yes.
It was probably one of my favorite games as well, but the thing about Heavy Rain is people either really like it or they hate it. I mean, I'm sure there's people in between, but that's mostly it because, it's a really specific type of game. Or it's not even really a game. It's more of an interactive storytelling experience. So the story is
That you're a man called Ethan Mars, and his son Sean Mars gets kidnapped by the origami killer, and you have to find Sean and then find out who the origami killer is.
So you don't just play as Ethan Mars, though. You play as Scott Shelby, who's a private investigator.
You play as Madison Page, who's a journalist, and you play as Norman Jaden, who's an FBI.
Who's your favorite person to play as?
My favorite person to play as is Madison Page, who is the journalist.
So overall, did you like the story?
Yes, I liked the story.
Did you think the game was very suspenseful?
Yes.
Really suspenseful?
Mm-hmm.
Were you nervous sometimes?
Yep.
What do you think was the scariest part?
I think the scariest part was when he cut off his finger.
Yeah, that was pretty gross. One of the complaints that I've heard a lot of people say is that the beginning of Heavy Rain doesn't exactly draw people in, and I have to agree with this. The game gets off to a pretty slow start. You're Ethan in the beginning of the game, and you just kind of walk around your house, take a shower, play with your kids, and then you go to the mall, and it's pretty boring, but it does kind of get you into the feeling of the game, and the stakes aren't really high. Like, you're learning how to use the controls and memorizing the buttons on the gamepad so that you can do the different buttons and directions when you're not looking. And so it gets you into the game. So I actually didn't have any problems with the beginning of the game. It didn't take that long to complete. I'd say that the entire slow part of the game only takes about half an hour. So it's not that big of a complaint. And by the end of the game, you really don't even remember it. So what did you think of who the origami killer was?
At first, I thought it was the doctor.
But you never saw who it actually was coming, right? Not at all? And the thing about the ending is that the actual ending of the game, there are multiple ways to end the game, right?
Yep. 20.
20? I don't think there's 20.
Well, at least 20.
No, I don't think there's 20. I think there's a lot of ways to end the game, but I don't actually know the exact number. But depending on the choices you make, that's what makes it an interactive storytelling experience, because if you make bad choices, then you'll get a bad ending. We got a pretty good ending, though, right?
Yep.
Oh, and there's something important you want to tell people, right?
Uh-huh. If you die in the whole game, you will never come back to life.
Yeah, so in some games you have, lives or whatever. In this game, there are no lives. If you die, it's over for that character. And so in some endings, everyone dies, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what type of people do you think would enjoy Heavy Rain?
Adults.
Why do you think adults would enjoy Heavy Rain?
Because there's a lot of nudity.
And not just nudity, right? There's tons of, violence,
Yeah.
swearing,
And killing.
blood.
Very real-looking blood.
This is definitely not a game for everyone, right?
Yeah.
In order to really enjoy this game, you have to like mystery. Like, if you like crime TV shows, then you would probably like this game.
Yeah.
What else do you think that people would have to like in order to like Heavy Rain?
I think they would have to like the story.
Yeah, story is what is the biggest part of Heavy Rain. If you play games to do platforming or mostly gameplay, I don't think you'd enjoy Heavy Rain. How was the game played?
Well, a lot of it was opening doors.
And how would you open these doors?
There would be buttons that would show up on the screen, and you'd press the buttons.
So, what type of buttons?
Like there'd be R1 and L1 and circle and triangle and X.
Yeah, so pretty much the majority of the game is told holding down buttons to open doors, pick things up. Pretty much everything you do is complex button holding combinations, which, I mean, you have to have played other PlayStation 3 games before so that you can know where the buttons are without having to like look down, but it doesn't take too much skill. You have to be quick though, because in some scenes it'll give you a bar on how fast you have to press the button, especially in fight scenes where someone throws something at you and you have to press X or O really quickly, or if you miss, then you risk losing your life, and that could change the outcome of the game. What did you think of the graphics?
I think the graphics were really realistic.
I'd agree with you, but at the same time, there were parts of the game where the faces did look a bit weird, but it was only at some parts of the game. Like, for almost all of the game, I think Quantic Dream did a really good job of doing the animations. So what was your favorite scene in the game?
My favorite scene was when Madison was fighting in her undies.
But that whole scene turned out to be a dream, right?
Uh-huh.
And it was kind of like only to establish this she was an insomniac, right?
Yep.
But you still liked it?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that my favorite scene of the game was also with Madison when she's at this club trying to impress this guy, and it's really funny because she's like gotta go up and you've got to press all these buttons so that she'll dance, and the guy's looking at her like, oh, and she's dancing. It's pretty funny. There are some parts of the game, I'm not sure if they're supposed to be funny or not, but they are funny. But most of it is really depressing or scary. So at the end of the day, this game isn't for everyone, but for those of you who think you would like it, you'll really enjoy it. So overall, would you tell people to get Heavy Rain?
I think so.
It's if you like mystery and are okay with all the mature themes, I'd say then you should definitely go out and get Heavy Rain. But it depends. Like, as soon as I saw the gameplay videos, I knew that I was going to enjoy Heavy Rain, and honestly, I wasn't disappointed. It really exceeded my expectations. But after hearing this review, if you think this might not be the game for you, then you probably shouldn't pick it up.